皆さん、おはようございます。Welcome to Chiba JInJapan podcast. And today, well, we're going to talk about a little bit of a Hokusai. You know Hokusai, the famous, Eroi artist from Japanese history. You probably know him for the great waves, his great pictures, but he also is a bit of erotic artist as well. But we're not going to talk about that today because that's probably not for a podcast this sort of time, right? Not a morning podcast, that's for the evening podcast. But today we're going to talk about his museum in his Sumiga Hokusai Art Museum, what I went to a few days ago. And because I went to that on my way to Chiba Prefecture by bike. So I want to talk about the museum a little bit, and I want to talk about my ride to Chiba and some interesting place I found where I'm at in Chiba. So enjoy. Ooh. So as we know, Hokusai is probably the most famous artist in Japan. Like, you've definitely seen his artwork, right? You've definitely seen the Great Wave, the Shinagawa Great Wave. Like Shinagawa, Shinagawa. Kana. So you've definitely seen his artwork. And he's got a recently, I think it's a quite new museum, the Sumiga Hokusai Art Museum. And it's by the Edo Museum, so you got the Edo History Museum. It's quite close by to that, so you could do a day and go to some like history museums of Japan. It'd be quite cool to do if you do come to Japan. I would recommend you do that. That could be pretty cool if you know a bit of history and like a bit of Edo. You want to go into the Edo history. And the Hokusai, this art museum, is actually quite cool. The building itself is pretty cool. If you see it, it's just a big metal N. I don't know why it's a big metal N. Hokusai, you think it'd be a H, maybe, but they just made a big metal N, like a capital N, and that's the Hokusai Museum. But it's quite nice. It's like there's not much around the area. It's normal buildings, and there's just massive metal N, like clink. I am here. And it's quite nice actually, because there's a kids spot front by, there's kids playing. It's a pretty great place to take the kids and family, and then they can go and see some art. Great. So to go into the museum, I went in there, and one first thing I realised is, well, I got a discount. Ooh. Because the day before I went was my birthday, and if you go and the same month as your birthday, you get a 20% discount. So I was super happy. I was just like over the moon, like, psycho. Like, the reason to be born in January, right? And now at the moment in this museum, there's 3 exhibitions. There's one, the main one, what's there all the time. It's like a history of Hokusai, like who he was, what he did, his upbringing, his art, his progressive for his arts, and it's actually quite small. And there's 2 ones that change around. So it's quite a moving around art exhibition. It's not always the same. It makes it quite interesting. It means you gotta go again and again and again. Like, let's get them right. Get them in again and again and again. So when I was there was 2 art exhibitions out. First one I quite enjoyed, pretty most, and that was like a Japanese history told in Hokusai's art. So Hokusai, you know, he did a lot of artworks. Lots of artworks. He was like the crazy painter man. He was a mad man who would paint all day, every day. He wouldn't clean, he would just paint. When his room got so messy, he would move. Like the guy was mental. But he drew a lot. And there's a lot of his drawings like out of history, because a lot of books in Edo period Japan were about history, and they loved art books, they loved the picture books, because they had some of the best ones. And even when he wasn't famous, he would draw them for these books as well. It's one of the biggest ways to get an income. So there's lots of artwork, and it goes around Japanese history. So if you know a little bit of Japanese history and you want to go through that, this is the perfect one for you. For me, I know a lot about Japanese history, so I was like, I know that character, I know that person, these new artwork, So it's quite nice to go and see that. And there also were some interesting ones, actually more at the end of Edo, because, Hokusai died, he's got a little man in Edo. But after that, like Meiji period, like the end of sort of Edo period, there's some artworks by his sort of disciples, his pupils as well. What a pretty nice. There was a big one, like, what battle was it? I can't remember, but it was when Satsuma, one of the Kagoshima, kind of rebels in the Edo period. They were like, no, we want to be samurai. We don't want to give up our prefecture rights. We don't want to become a prefecture. We want to be a hat. We're a clan. And they had a big fight. And Saigudon kind of was like, the last samurai. And it just pictured that. It was just a very epic battle scene. You're like, good job, Hokusai Deshi. Good job. So the next sort of exhibition was a really cool one about the Edogawa River, because I can't remember the name of this art piece, but he did a massive scroll depicting the whole Edogawa River, which is one of the main rivers in Edo, now Tokyo, it's Tokyo. Tokyo, what goes from Tokyo, and the next is Chiba. The other side is Chiba Prefecture, and now it's Tokyo. And this Edogawa River is a long ass river, it's long. So he depicts all the shrines, all the places, all the bridges, what were around in the Edo period of time along this river, and it's pretty cool. At the end is like a little scene, and they're like with his friends, they're drinking, and it's like the brothel sort of party house they got to. So it's like they do the little trip all the way up the river, and they get like the party house at the end, and then it depicts the party. So that's a pretty cool thing about it. And you probably could do a tour, like the history tour of this painting through Edo. Go down the Edogawa River and go into the bridges, go into the buildings, go into the places, go into the shrines. And I think that would be a pretty cool thing to do if you come to Tokyo. And I think I may have to, if we're doing another thing on Hokusai, I will do that. The Edogawa Hokusai tour. Ooh. Yeah, so that was the Hokusai Museum in Sumiga Hokusai Bijutsukan, and I recommend you do go because it's pretty cheap to get in. It's only like 1,000 yen, and there's a lot more stuff around this area. So if you want a bit more Japanese history, this is the quite good area to go to. So that's a recommendation for Tokyo. Ooh. Next up is Chiba. Ooh. So if you don't know already, I'm an address hopper now. I'm moving around Japan, living in different places, seeing Japan as I travel. And good thing about this is I get to see a lot of new places, and I get to travel Japan by bicycle. And it's quite cool doing this. You get to see a lot of Japan you wouldn't normally see, like normal papers normally do, like the really awkward roads you need to get under. Especially you won't see as a tourist, because you shouldn't be seeing as a tourist, like the awful spaghetti junctions, like how do you cross those in a bike? Knowledge is power, my friends. Oh, my book of biking in Japan will be amazing. You get so much tips. So, a few days ago, 16th, I took a bike from Shinagawa, where I was staying before, to Chiba Prefecture. I'm now in Chiba, Narashino City. What's a little bit just before Chiba City itself. And it's quite a nice little area. But taking the bike ride is actually a quite nice bike ride to take, because quite a long part of it is actually you go down the Edogawa River a little bit at the end. And that's quite nice to see. It's like quite nice, open. The day was perfectly sunshine. It was a perfect day to go cycling. And another thing I did like about this bike ride is actually going for like Ginza, going for the Tokyo areas. Like it's early, there's not many cars out, you get to see them in a different light you would normally see in the day, with like busting full of people. It's like COVID and stuff. Like you don't want to go to expensive shops, you get COVID, just see them on my bike. They look great outside, but inside you don't want to buy the clothes, expensive. So I arrived in my place in Chiba, and now I'm leaving this company or address, so I get to go into different places around Japan. And this is not like a hotel, it's actually a house. It's a big house, and the house I'm staying in now is great, because it's got a cooker. And like 2 years I've been in Japan, I haven't seen or had an oven in the house, so I'm so happy there's an oven. I'm going to cook some stuff in the oven tomorrow. I'm like, yes! Exciting. But the best thing I found here was I found the world's, probably the cheapest supermarket I have ever seen in Japan. Thank you, Mato. Thank you, Mart. And oh my god, this is like the treasure trove of cheapness. I thought there's a supermarket called Gyomu Super, where it's cheap, but no, this beats Gyomu. This just beats it. There's not much selection, but it's just so cheap. It's insane. Like, you can get cans of like a saba, what you normally get for like hyakuen, like 100 to 200 yen, for like 80 yen. Like, most things are either like 100 yen or less. You're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, you get mushrooms for like 50 yen. Negi. They can get microwavable rice, what's super handy for travel, for 150 yen. 3 bits, 50 yen a piece. That will cost you 500 yen in the normal supermarket. Oh, value. Miso soup. Big bit of miso for 150 yen. Value. Like, homemade sweets by the local people. 30 yen. Value. So I was just going in the supermarket, picking up everything. Like, I probably bought too much in the supermarket. Just like, value, oh my god. Like, cheap things make me happy. When you're traveling, when you've been like pretty much a student for most of your life, you like cheap things. And cheap things make you happy when they taste good and they're not bad for you. That is the moral of the story today. So, I'm going to enjoy Chiba while I work in this house, do some more work while I'm working, and eat lots of cheap food. What's great. So next up, we're going to talk a little bit about an anime I enjoyed the past few days, and that is Osa Ranking. So now I want to talk about this anime I just watched it the past few days, and it's got on my radar for a long time. I didn't realize, because I saw it, I was like, nah, I'm not going to watch that anime, that's for kids. This is Awesome Ranking, and oh my god, this is the best anime probably of the season, probably of the winter season, and it's second season, the second part. It's going to be a 24-parter, and it's going to go on into maybe spring. So, and it's good. Awesome Ranking, King's Ranking, and oh my god, this is amazing. Like, the story is like amazing. So what it is, it's a ranking of kings, but they're not really kings, they're like little kids. And you got this little kid called Bocchi, and he can't speak, he cries a lot, but he's really good at avoiding, like dodging, like amazing at dodging. Like, you can't hit him, he's bouncing all over the place. But he's a bit of a wuss, he's a bit of a like, just no friends, gets bullied a lot, he's a bit crybaby. And he's basically a little baby. And he's like the laughing stock of the sort of the empire, the kingdom. And he kind of gets a friend. He kind of gets bullied by like a shadow called Kage. Kage, yeah, shadow, pretty much Japanese. And they kind of become friends. Because the Kage, well, he's also kind of pretty bullied and was kind of bullied into becoming like a thief. And they kind of run some bondship. And then Bocchi, his brother, end up, is when the king actually dies. It's like the king's like, the only real one to possess me is Bocchi. And everyone's like, what? Why? Like, huh? Like, he's useless. So they put his other brother up, the king. They kind of like screw Bocchi over because everyone's like, Bocchi can't be king. Like, it's Bocchi. Bocchi gets upset. But he just gets upset. He's like, I want to get stronger. And he goes off to get stronger, then gets betrayed. Like, you think this is the kids' journey about? No, this is like not for kids. The main character is like under 5, but like the background, like what she doesn't even realize is like Game of Thrones-esque, like betrayals, like murders, like like some of the fight scenes between the guards and like some of the people are just insane. You're just like, this is supposed to be a kids' anime, right? Like, they're doing this good. Like, the backstories about this, and the main, like, why it's still going on with the king. I'm just like, it's good. Like, really good, really well written. I'm seeing the reviews, like, it was really high for a Japanese anime. Like, if you go on Amazon Japan, most of them people won't rank high. Like, most things are good to be like 3. They're like 3 or 4. They won't give high stars. So this is like 5. This is actually like an A-star. Like, anime, and this is quite rare. Like, really rare. Like, even the popular anime, the one Kimetsu no Yaiba is only like a 4. This is like a solid 5. So if you do want to watch anime, and it's good, like really, really good, you want to watch something good, watch Awesome Ranking, even if you don't like anime. I would just watch this. This is gonna be what goes down to be remembered, I think. Awesome ranking is definitely going to be a big hit when it gets translated and goes to the West. So watch it now, get ahead of the game. So that'd be all for the JInJapan podcast, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you do like more about traveling Japan, I'll put some more posts about my trip in Shinagawa. I did about the shrine walk, so I've done some more on that. And I've been posting more stuff on learning Japanese, so if you want to learn Japanese as well, you can learn it from anime. So I put some posts on learning Japanese from anime, and on my YouTube channel also have some shorts to learn Japanese from anime, so you can learn grammar points from anime and fun stuff, what's always good. And if you speak Japanese, 日本語わかる場合に僕の日本語ポッドキャストがありますので、これぜひ聞いてみてください。はい、皆さん最後まで聞いてくれてありました。じゃあね。